If you're a driven, active person who wants to reach and pursue a higher quality life with some ambition, then guess what? This podcast is for you. This is the Driven Athlete Podcast. What's up, y'all? It's your man, Dr. Kyle. Today, we got a really cool guest, Taylor Snook. He is a fitness and expert and educated for sure on exercise physiology and all that stuff. Was wanting to get him in and talk a little bit about what he does and also some of the very common questions and stuff that we hear as fitness experts like yourself, and shed a little bit more light on the best practices and maybe the best trajectory to help people. But anyway, welcome, Taylor Snook. Tell us more about what you're doing now, where you're at, where you went to school, education, all that stuff.
Yeah. Happy to be here. This is super exciting.
Yeah.
I'll just start from the beginning. Where I got my education really and kind of background. I'm from New Jersey originally, been down in Florida now for like 9 years. My education in fitness and wellness started really in high school. I went to the Hun School, Princeton in Jersey, which was a private school.
That sounds fancy.
It was fancy. It was very fancy, right next to the university. So
okay.
I was very fortunate, got a really good education in high school.
I imagine.
My senior year, I took a class in anatomy and physiology, and a bulb just went off my brain, and I was like, oh my gosh, this 140-pound kid was like, I've never lifted weights before, but all of a sudden, that's all I want to do.
I need to get jacked.
Yes.
That's next.
I need to get jacked. And so that was high school. I rode that train of excitement from anatomy and physiology straight into college. Went to Furman University in South Carolina, very small school, 3,000 undergrad. But knew as soon as I stepped on the campus, I was like, I'm going to do health science for sure. Tried to actually declare my major earlier than you're allowed to.
Okay.
Because I was so positive.
Just
I wanted
to,
yeah.
Just do exactly what I wanted to do.
Exactly. So I was there for 4 years, got my Bachelor of Science in health sciences. And then from there was kind of actually came down to taking the route of going into PT, physical therapy, which you specialize in.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite cut out for it. I didn't have the grades necessarily.
That's probably not true. It's just a different direction, different trajectory.
It was a tough school. It was a demanding school. We had a lot of electives. I'll say that. But I ended up taking a little bit of a turn. Someone had suggested exercise physiology and strength and conditioning to me, and being someone that had always been super thrilled by sports and played a lot of sports growing up, that was an awesome kind of turn for me. I was like, I've always wanted to work with athletes. I kind of thought I would do that as a PT. So let me explore this. Was fortunate enough to get into University of Miami, got my master's degree there in exercise physiology and fitness facility management. I know you're very familiar with UM as well.
It was so weird. When we first met, we have a lot of mutual friends, and we went to the University of Miami to get we just missed each other by a couple years or by a little bit, but a lot of mutual contacts and stuff. I was like, this is such a weird small world. Yeah. But they have a great program. The University of Miami, strength conditioning, exercise physiology, they're in it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of super educated, smart people that we collaborated with in some of our clinical internships that were also strength and conditioning or exercise physiology majors and direction and masters in that. I mean, it's a formidable force University of Miami. So it's solid.
Yeah, I mean, and the PT program speaks for itself there as well. Obviously, the school being as big as it is, it has a lot of great programs, but the PT program there is very well sought after. Exercise phys was a little bit more hidden, but I had an awesome program director. I fell in love with
what was his name again?
Brian Biagioli. Shout out to Dr. Biagioli. He probably one of the bigger influences in my life when it came to what I do today. Him and Trey Watson, who I know you were familiar with.
Yeah, Trey.
Dr. Trey Watson these days.
A PhD now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Those two were a massive impact on my life when I was at UM. And I had an incredible amount of opportunities to work with great teachers. But beyond that, the nice part about being in Miami was I got to work at places like Core Fitness Miami, where I got to work with an alumni there, Andy Lausis, who's the owner and the head trainer. And I got to work with pro athletes, college athletes, just regular people that wanted to come in and train like athletes. And then I got to be a grad assistant for the women's rowing team, I got to be a TA for the program itself. So that's really where things took off for me. It was beyond just getting my master's. It was a really awesome experience in that sense. And so much of it was practical and applied, which I wish more of the school stuff these days was more applied. I think that's a really great way for kids to learn. But
yeah, totally.
Yeah, that kind of sums up the education aspect. When I finished up at I spent years kind of bouncing around. I was at the National Council of Strength and Fitness for a little bit. I worked there on their personal training program and their strength and conditioning coach program, and wrote some of their publications, worked on some of their tests, did some of their seminars, hosted them and taught them. And that was an awesome experience as well. I worked in CrossFit. I worked in the strength and conditioning realm. So I was all over the place. And Miami was great. Was there for 6 years, loved every bit of it, and came up to West Palm about 3 years ago, and have been working now at One Fitness, which has been an awesome experience.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. We'll ask more questions about that. Mm-hmm. What you were saying about the a lot of the practical and experiences, and then also people that you met. I've always felt like, looking back, number one, like mentorship and some accountability, but from people that you respect and look up to, I think is such a crucial aspect of just getting an idea of what you want to be and what you want to do, right? Because I feel like you also get a view of like what you don't want to be, at least from some of the experiences I've had with other mentors and stuff like that, where I'm like, I want to be like that dude or that girl, right? I want to like professionally, I like what they do. I like how they interact. I like their mindset and like their approach on some stuff. And then other people, I'm like, I don't like a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
I don't hate them, right? I'm just like, I don't want to be like you professionally, but I want to be like you, and I want to be some of you, and I want to be some of you, and put it all kind of in a pot, and then eclectically make my own version of maybe what I want to be.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, getting those experiences is huge. And then at least now trying to hand it off and paying it forward to current students that observe with us and stuff, and come in for student internships with us now. And then also just our patients and clients, where it's like a different perspective and mindset on some things, but what you want to be, and then also what you don't want to be. And then it's a good contrast comparison.
Yeah. I think that's necessary. I think I can list a mentor from every part of my educational career. Like, in high school, it was my anatomy and physiology teacher, Dr. Metcalf, and like he was fantastic. At Furman, it was Dr. Catarizano, who was really the strength and conditioning based teacher, and he had an amazing influence on me. At University of Miami, it was Dr. Biagioli. There's always these people I think that you need to look up to, and it is important to have that contrast of like, I want to take the best parts of them, but I also want to understand what are the aspects that they do that I think I could improve on. And then obviously in your experiences with work, you can start to pick out those places of people maybe that you're like, oh, maybe I don't want to handle it that way. Maybe I can, how can I change the perspective and make it better? So I think that's super important.
With your experience in Miami and also undergrad, were there, you don't have to name anybody, of course. What experiences you have of like the contrast? Were there any specific real life situations where like, I would have handled that differently?
Definitely. I think I was lucky enough to, like I said before, work in so many different aspects of the fitness industry. Working for a certification company keeps you on your toes with knowing what you need to know. Being a GA and working as an assistant under strength coaches that are fully employed, and then working even at a private facility that trains pro athletes and college athletes, there's a lot you take away from it. And without, picking and choosing people or situations, there were contrasts of the biggest thing was effort. How much effort are people willing to put in different places? There's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that want to take shortcuts. And it's not to say that everything you do in the strength and conditioning and the fitness world needs to be massively tedious and incredibly thought out, but there are people that they want to be more about the brand than the substance that they're giving to their clients. Right. And I think if you can find that perfect middle area, it stops you from cheating what you're giving your client, but still allows you to put a brand on what you're actually creating. So I saw in every situation, I saw the good and bad of that. I saw people handle their branding beautifully. And then I saw people so focused on what they were doing for their clients, they didn't have time to work on their brand, and it pulled away from their business.
Right.
So I think that's the conversation that a lot of kids that are coming out of college need to have with some of their mentors is, how do I balance passion with business?
Right.
It's so tough when you're young.
Oh, right. I imagine. Yeah. Because also you're just trying to get a handle on what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to mess up.
But you also I think a lot of kids that find their I was so lucky. I don't know about you. I was so lucky to find my passion so young that I dove headfirst into it. And there was a 4-year period in Miami where it didn't matter how much money I was making, even though I was paying my rent month to month off my paycheck, like just scraping by. But I loved what I did. Yeah. And there was a kind of an it moment a couple of years ago where I was like, okay, I need to make some money. Yeah. So I had to kind of let go of some of those things that I loved doing and I was super passionate about in order to step into a place where I could make more money and support myself.
Because at some point you have to, but at least maybe with your experiences of integrating some of those passions and then how can I do that and also makes a good income at the same time to not live paycheck to paycheck. And it's interesting you said I've always loved a quote, you are who you hang out with, you know what I mean? And so some of there's, professionally or also just anecdotally with clients or people in the community, right? You are who you hang out with. And there's definitely people, if they're trying to be driven and goal-oriented, if it's fitness, capacity, physique, or professional development or whatever, scheduling and time efficiency, all that stuff, or just reaching higher goals, finding yourself to be with the right group of like-minded individuals that are also giving high effort, because it's easy as I would imagine. I was going to ask this soon, a question for you next, with clients that you work with, right? Because you're a personal trainer now at this point. Yeah. The accountability is usually a huge aspect to reach goals. And then also being around like-minded people that are in the same oriented mindset to reach those goals, and then not be like, oh, well, I'll just miss today. Or I don't really need to, right? Because ultimately, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with most, right? Is what I've heard one time. I was like, it makes total sense. It does. And if you can surround yourself by people who are kind of all the same, they're going to help bring you up and then kind of compete with each other in a healthy way in order to reach your goals of what you want. Yeah. I would imagine as a personal trainer with some of the clients you work with, some of the benefits of that, just the accountability, number one, but then also being around the same people of the like-mindedness to help drive similar goals. Yeah. Would you say it's true?
I think it's definitely true. I think I've been lucky enough recently at One Fitness. I'm surrounded by some incredible trainers. Brandon Parker, the owner of One Fitness, and my good friend, my boss also. I am biased, but he's like a machine. The guy is always on.
He's got a motor. It doesn't stop.
He doesn't stop. And it reflects in multiple ways. He's constantly training people and he's constantly running the business to the most efficient manner he can, but he's also always got this great smile on, this fantastic attitude. His customer service is through the roof. That's made me be better in those ways. I also have clients on the other side of that I am very, very lucky. I get to work with some incredible clients, being that a lot of our members are coming from the Palm Beach area. Some of these people run Fortune 500 companies, or they used to, and I get to learn a lot about what makes them tick.
Yeah, I imagine some of the conversations are probably pretty cool.
Oh man, I've said this to my coworkers several times that I think in the personal training industry, we have to have top 5 most interesting conversations with the people that we have in there. Yeah. I don't want to name names, but we just have some people that have done some incredible things, and so it's been a massive benefit that I'm so grateful for. That has also been, maybe they're not the 5 people I hang out with, but being able to talk to those people for an hour, 3 hours a week, I learn a lot about things I can do better and how I can improve myself and improve my business and whatnot. And so I think, those 5 people you hang out with is going to shift and it's going to meld and change forever. We all think that we're going to be best friends with our high school friends forever. And you may very well be, but
pretty rare.
It's pretty rare. So I think understanding that walking through your life, you're going to have those people that are close to you, and some are going to bring more than others. But as you become an adult, I'm 31 now, I've started to kind of figure out who those 5 are, and I can pull from them. And it's exactly as you said. It's almost a little bit like a healthy competition.
Right, which is good,
Yeah, and that makes you want to be better. But no, I think I'm super fortunate. I have a lot of accountability, and I have a lot of people I can look up to in my life.
And I feel like that too. Like you have to be intentional. At least I find myself, I'm like, I got to be intentional with making effort and time for those 5 or whoever the people hang out with, because it's really easy to slip into complacency or just not even know, and not be aware. Mm-hmm. But I think the intentionality is super crucial to set that up for success of like, who are you purposely reaching out to hang out with? And then what's the reason? And then like, if it's mutual, like that's a great setup at least.
Yeah. Who are you putting your time into?
Right.
It's kind of like the essentialist way of looking at things. Like, are you prioritizing the right things? And it's very easy to not prioritize the right things when you're a little bit younger. And it's something that I've definitely gotten much better at. And I know who I want to give my time to and who I don't. And so it's very important.
What okay, so you're working at One Fitness now, right? You've been there for 3 years at this.
Yeah, coming up on 3 years now. Yeah.
And they've definitely grown
a lot. Yeah. So when I started there a couple Decembers ago, as we're approaching that 3rd year, they were doing very well. Just to give a little background, One Fitness is a boutique gym, personal training gym. We do some HIIT classes, very small amount, maybe 4 a day.
And it's only one-on-one personal training.
Yeah. It's not an open gym for people to pay membership and just come in. We try to give the best service we possibly can, one-on-one for our clients, and some small group fitness. And we cater to a lot of clients that are coming from Palm Beach, the Palm Beach County area, and a couple of people coming from like Jupiter and some from Delray. But in the 3 years that I've been there, we've grown immensely. My first year there, it was slow for me, so maybe I didn't have quite a handle on how well they did. But last year was our best year by a long shot, and we have so much momentum going into this next year. We know it's going to be another big one. So we're looking at different ways to try to expand and grow, but it's been an incredible opportunity to work at that gym and see how much it's growing. And now in the head trainer position, it's been fun for me to try to teach these younger trainers that we have on staff how they can offer the best and highest quality workout for their clients and for our members of the group fitness classes.
I'll talk about that in a second. It's interesting with one-on-one customer experience. I feel like since COVID, right, there will always be a space for high quality attention and care and a customer experience, and legitimately like trying hard, like you were saying, like, can you just give effort and just try hard? I feel like that's definitely become a huge priority for people coming post-COVID, where now that we're reintegrating and re-entering back in like normal life and stuff. I feel like they'll always be there. So with you guys, and similar to our business or like our practice, right? We're one-on-one for an hour with all of our patients. You guys are one-on-one with your clients. I feel like we definitely have a great results with people and outcomes, just because it allows us to really try. We can critically think and like legitimately try hard and be like, how can we get this person better? Or like, how can we really improve this person's fitness capacity tailored to them, so we're not going to like just do things that are unnecessary and fluff. Yeah. Have you noticed that too with you guys? Like a big reason for your growth and success, or just the popularity of your guys' facility, is the high quality and the customer experience type of mindset.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the reason that we've excelled so much in the last 3 years, COVID was a struggle for the entire industry. Health and wellness industry, and it ended up being a bit of a boost for the fitness industry, because I think people woke up and were like, I need to get myself in shape.
Afterwards, they're like, I need to get healthy.
Yeah.
Like, how can I reduce my likeliness of just being decrepit and sick all the time?
Yeah, exactly. And
fitness capacity, let's get it.
It scared a lot of people, and it should have. It was a good wake-up call, and I think we need more of them. Hopefully not in the same form of COVID. But I think
more wake-up calls, you're saying.
Yeah, more wake-up calls, just not in the form of a global pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no, that one-on-one, I tell people all the time, unless you're incredibly disciplined and extremely consistent, what the one-on-one offers is the highest level of accountability,
right,
and the most immense focus you're going to get from the individual you're working with.
Right.
And
they're not splitting attention elsewhere.
No. Yeah. And if you're working with a trainer that really takes it seriously and is able to concentrate that focus in the right areas, just like you guys, we can kind of hone in on their goals, their issues, how to get better.
Right.
And you can see that progress daily. Right. I'm not taking a shot at anybody that, ups their fitness through group classes or just goes to the gym by themselves. Yeah. But without a doubt, if you are coming to our gym, the expectation, our slogan is raise your standards. The expectation is when you come through that door and you work with one of our trainers, you're getting an elevated experience because they are able to focus and hone in on what your needs are better than you can yourself and better than someone can do in a group fitness environment.
And I imagine the culture, like our culture, your guys' culture, same kind of thing. It's like everyone that's on the team, they're going to try hard. Right. Yeah. Like we're A gamers. We're not going to be like giving our B or C game. One time,
No, it's not. And the proof is in the pudding, right? Like you'll be able to tell right away. If you come to a trainer and you're there 2-3 sessions, most people can be like, okay, I don't know how invested this trainer is. Right. I personally believe that our trainers are incredibly invested, not only in our clients, but in the experience that they provide for the clients when they walk through the door and when they leave. Getting their personal items grabbed from them and put away for them, getting handed a towel and a water. Yeah. They warm up. They're met on the floor with their trainer who ends up giving them a fantastic workout. And then they're cooled down by their trainer who tends to any of their mobility needs or anything like that, any kind of issues that may be residual from previous workouts or whatnot, tightness and soreness and all that. But, it's that heightened experience of like you're there for them in all shapes seriously. And form. Yeah.
I heard something recently that a mentor of mine was telling me, just for like life goals, business goals, fitness goals, like whatever, any goals. There's like I think it's 70%. It's like a 70 to 75% increased likelihood of actually reaching those goals if you write them down.
Oh yeah.
And if you have accountability. Because that person's going to be like, hey, did you do your stuff? Well, I was going to. Like, hey, did you not eat 15 cookies? Well, why? What? Like, they're going to ask you to walk in. It's like, I can't let this guy down. And I can't be shamed when I walk in again.
Yeah.
It's like our patients, like, did you do your homework? Did you do the exercise stuff we told you? Did you do the movement prep we prescribed for you?
Yeah.
Well, I tried and my shoulder still hurts. I'm like, dude, like, if you're not doing your homework, we can't expect the results to be as good.
Exactly.
So that accountability is going to be, anyway, writing things down and then also having the accountability behind it. And that seems like what you guys are doing and what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and everybody can benefit, just as like a general statement. I'm someone who recently got very into like journaling in the mornings and writing down goals, even just for simple stuff, like everyday things. It's incredibly powerful how you might get home from work and look at that piece of paper and go, dang.
Yeah.
There's 2 things I didn't do. Like maybe I can still get them done, or maybe I can just roll them over to tomorrow. And it's that you're holding yourself accountable, but that's exactly what we do. It's what you do too. Yeah. I come into your clinic, my shoulder's bothering me. I come back, 2 weeks later, same thing. You're gonna look at me and go, just do those mobility exercises.
Of anybody, I would expect you to do. It's like,
I did. Yeah, it feels good.
No, Taylor's been great, man. Taylor's been great. He's been doing his homework. What I was going to say was interesting with the goal writing, right? Like just writing it down at least having some forethought and some awareness, right? Because we're just trying to help people get better, improve their fitness capacity, their physique totally, lower the risk of injury, improve their injuries or problems that they have, identify barriers and break them down to get them better.
Yep.
We're on the same page for sure. I definitely can see for some people battling those issues, the appropriate goal setting or goal writing. Like, okay, great. I want to write all my goals down, but the goals might not be reachable right now or appropriate, right? Or just more realistic at the moment.
Yeah.
Like SMART goals. Have you heard of SMART goals?
Yeah.
Specific,
achievable goals.
Achievable. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Attainable. Oh man, I forget. I want to come back with it. We'll have a whole little podcast on SMART goals and write this down. But
the acronym.
Yeah, exactly. The acronym SMART. Exactly. But we can at least help them with let's prioritize goals immediately, and it might be like that's a great goal maybe a couple of years down the road or like several months down the road, but goal setting can be challenging for people. Have you noticed that with you guys, with like you guys collaborating on like great goals, let's prioritize and maybe dwindle these or make these a little more specific?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I see, one of the most common errors I see in the fitness industry from my clients is they come to us with goals that are a little too lofty.
Right. Right.
Or they're just a little too general. It's not something that they took time to think about and write down. Right. Which is why it's so important to write them down. They might not even
know. They don't know that.
They don't know that. Yeah. Exactly. So we'll run through an example. You have a client that comes in, maybe they're 35 to 40 years old, and they've got their brother's wedding coming up in 6 months, and they tell you
wedding prep.
Yeah,
I hear that a lot. Yeah.
They want to lean down. Everybody wants to look good at a wedding. Yeah, of course, right? Everyone wants to look good in a suit or a dress, and they tell you
getting down on the dance floor.
Yeah, I want to lean out. I want to lose 15 to 20 pounds, and where they got that number from, who knows? Maybe they weighed 15 to 20 pounds less in high school,
right?
Or maybe that's just a number that they heard on the internet or something like that. It's as a trainer, my big thing that I try to do is I try to take that goal that's so broad in general, 15 to 20 pounds, and I try to break it down to what are the most important aspects of what we're actually trying to accomplish. You want to drop a couple sizes in your dress size or your pant size. Okay, then let's pick that number. Let's think about that number, because 15 to 20 pounds might not equate to that number. It might only take 8. Right. It might only take 10. And then we want to talk about, how do you want to feel? Because if we're just going to lose 15 to 20 pounds, we don't care what it is. It could be muscle. It could be fat. Do you want to be lean and ripped? Do you want to feel good, or are you okay with feeling completely drained and you have no energy? If that's the case, we'll just put you on the Stairmaster for 60 minutes a day. Right. Don't do that. I'm not recommending that. But you start to break it down to these more achievable and these more manageable and important goals. The number one goal I tell any of my clients when they come in and they tell me they want to lose weight or they want to put on muscle mass is the most important thing is I want you to feel good. Like, that's the most important thing. If we can get you feeling good, more energized, sleeping better at night, being able to do more of the things you want to do. I want to go play pickleball with my significant other. Okay, let's make sure you can do that for an hour and a half.
Right.
That's so much more important than the number on the scale.
Right.
And guess what? The number on the scale will follow if you're doing the right stuff.
Right. Exactly.
So when I talk to these clients about like what is the most important thing to focus on when your goals are driven towards like physique and improving fitness, it's about prioritizing what's most important for you, and feeling good should be number one. And then you got to start looking at, what are you doing when you're not in the gym? How are you eating?
Right.
Are you drinking every night?
Yeah.
What does it look like when you're not working out? Are you going for walks, or are you sedentary on the couch?
Right. It's interesting you say that, because that was a perfect segue. I came across something, a couple of months ago. I was like, this makes total sense, right? A guru, person, mentor, he was just like, we don't like, setting goals is great, of course, right? It's definitely be important, like we talked about. But in order to achieve those goals, the one thing we have to change, it's actually going to last longer and then also continue forever, is just habit changes.
Yep.
It's like the things that help you achieve your goals are the habits that lead to that in the first place. So, all right, we have these great goals written out here like this. Boom. We got 8 pounds or 10 pounds we want to do, or we want to improve this capacity, like whatever. I want to improve my bench press, get stronger, get leaner, totally. My body fat percentage is lower. Something here all the time. Great, let's do it. Okay, how are we going to do that? We have to implement and maybe even change some habits that are going to lead to that in the first place.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, too, that's what leads to things staying like that for a longer period, for longevity.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is like, it sounds like what you're saying is like you're identifying for them what habits do we need to change that are going to lead to the goals in the first place. And then in that process, you're going to become a different person, right? You're going to learn the things and relearn new habits that are going to take with you forever. Because the ultimate goal isn't really the 8 pounds or whatever. Like, you can, for sure. We've seen plenty of people do that.
Yeah.
And then they backslide and they gain all the way back, or even worse. The goal is, this makes the epiphany mind bomb moment where they're like, this makes total sense. I'm going to apply, I learned some things, and I'm going to keep this for the rest of my life. Right? That's the ultimate win, where it's like, oh, I need to keep doing this forever. I want to be a completely different person. Similar like with business and stuff I heard before too. It's like when you make $1 million, it's not the $1 million. It's who you become when you actually get there.
Yep.
And they're a different person that's going to be a completely different life trajectory for in the future.
Yep.
But anyway, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's how can you make it stick?
Right.
And it is the habit changing. It's the reframing of your mindset. It's understanding, what are you doing this for? Are you doing it? Are you really just doing it for the wedding? Or would you genuinely like to feel better about the way you look and feel better on the daily, waking up?
Right.
And so that is exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I create this branching, this trickle down effect where we create those more achievable goals, and then we say, okay, then how do we get them? We talk about caloric deficit or caloric surplus, whether you want to lose weight or gain weight. We talk about what is the type of training we're doing. Is it going to be strength-based? Is it going to be hypertrophy? Is it going to be anaerobic conditioning, aerobic capacity? Like, what do we need to tailor your workouts towards? And then we start talking about the habits in terms of recovery.
Yeah.
What's your sleep look like?
Yeah. Sleeping is huge.
Sleep is
so underrated.
It's the number one.
Yeah.
It's the number one. It's the tip of the pyramid. And people totally underrate it. They want to say, oh, no, I got to get a great workout. Then I have to eat the right food. And then I got to make sure I drink enough water.
Yeah.
And then I got to sleep well. No, flip it. Yeah. Flip it on its axis. Sleep is your number one. After sleep, I'd go ahead and say that nutrition is probably number two. And then third's going to be exercise. Your training program can be the best in the world. It can be next level, world class. It does not make a difference if you're not getting the adequate sleep for your body to recover and do what it needs to do to rebuild your body for the way you want it to be. And all of that's not going to really matter either if your nutrition's not on point.
Nutrition
Those two really trump exercise in general. So those are the habits that we need to reform. We need to make sure you're getting to sleep at consistent times, waking up at consistent times, getting enough sleep, getting enough of the right sleep. You're eating the right things. I use the 80-20 rule when it comes to nutrition. I don't need you to be perfect. If you can be good, not great, good 80% of the time, and then you want to do your little cheat stuff for 20%. I love mint chocolate chip ice cream. I ate a bunch of it last night.
Mint chocolate chip.
Yeah.
That's your go-to.
I know.
I'm a cookie dough guy.
I'm gonna get crap for saying mint chocolate chip, but it's okay. I love it. But it's that balance. Yeah. And I know this is so cliche to say you need balance, but everything in moderation. Yeah. You don't need the fad diet. You don't need the insane workout plan. You don't need the crazy sleep regimen. You just need all of it to be good 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And that consistency is going to pay off down the line. And unfortunately, as much as people want to say there are shortcuts out there, there's a 1 month challenge or 2 month challenge that's going to save my life. It's not. It's being able to repeat this for years and years and years. And when you create it as a routine and a lifestyle, it's not as hard as it is in the beginning. And I'm going to use another cliche line here. You don't have to be great to start, but in order to be great, you have to start.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's just taking those initial steps in the right direction, and you'll have moments where you'll fall off. But as long as you can get back on and, make those changes that eliminate those mistakes that made you fall off in the first place, that's how you're going to just excel and become the best version of yourself.
I would imagine. And towards the end or once things been more consistent, from at least my own personal anecdotal experience, and other people we've talked with, like yourself, and patients and clients and stuff, what it turns into is it's interesting what you said, because I hear this a lot where it's like, okay, well, I want to change all this stuff. I have to drink water. I have to go for a walk. I have to do my workout, and I have to go early. Over time, what turns into is I want to go to bed earlier. I want to drink more water. I don't want to sit down and watch TV all the time. I want to go out and walk around. I don't feel good. That lifestyle, that habit change, and ultimately lifestyle change turns into a different person where it's I don't even want to have that red velvet cake. It just doesn't sound good right now.
Yeah.
I kind of just want broccoli. I don't know what, if you're a carnivore, I'm sorry about I like vegetables. So this is another conversation. I'm all about conversations. We'll have it more later. But I don't want to eat that cake right now. It just doesn't sound good. Anyway, you turn into that person, which is what the ultimate goal is.
Yeah. Well, because these things, these small things, these unnecessary things, they give us these feedbacks. That red velvet cake, I love red velvet cake. It gives you that feedback, that dopamine release of oh, this is so good. But when you start eliminating those sugars and those sweets from your life, this is scientifically proven, it doesn't taste as good.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy.
the bounce back that you're really talking about is you're feeling the changes. The sleep is making an impact on how alert you are at work and how easy it is to get through your day and work efficiently. The nutrition is making your body feel great when you're not working out, but it's fueling your workouts. Now your workouts are better.
Right.
You're getting into the shape you wanted to be in. Your body's looking the way you want it to look. You get addicted to the right things versus getting addicted to the things that are so easily, grabbable or graspable in this world. And it's easy to go buy that cake and dig in. And most of us eat it and we love it while we eat it. But when we're done, we're like,
We feel terrible. Yeah.
what did I do?
Yeah, totally.
I made an enormous mistake.
Yeah. I immediately regret the decision.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you can't enjoy those things in life. But when you create this balance of those things are rewards rather than common parts of your life, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
It's such a better place to be. And you're not only, like I said before, you're not just going to feel better, you're going to look better, you're going to perform better. And those are the things that are eventually you're going to be like, I don't even know why I stayed out until 3 a.m. every night on the weekend.
Right.
Like, why did I do that before?
Yeah. And the momentum grows.
Yes.
I hear that, for myself anecdotally, of course, and other patients, clients and stuff. The momentum is, once that momentum is built, it just fuels on itself. It becomes way easier. You develop the lifestyle a bit better. Like, I want to work out, versus like, I have to work out today.
Yeah.
Like, I want to. I feel good, It builds on itself.
Yes.
With that too, though, it's challenging, and this is my battle. When I feel like I've lost that momentum, getting back into it again, it's like it's unachievable.
Yeah.
That's not true, right?
No.
It just do it once, you know what I mean? And then you're back in and you're fine. You know what I mean? Just relax, just do it once.
The biggest thing, I think one of the hardest things for clients to realize is like that falling off the wagon moment.
Yeah. I fell off, and then it's just a huge backslide.
Yeah, and it's never as serious as you want to make it out to be. We tell ourselves like, oh, and this is part of the reason I don't really endorse 75 hard. I appreciate people that do it, but it's such an extreme thing that when people fall off of it, they kind of just all of a sudden they give up on all those great things that they were working towards, whether it was drinking a gallon of water or reading at night or getting 2 workouts in a day. It's you fall off of it and then you're like, oh, I can't start over.
Right. It's like I have too much to make up for in order to get back to where I was. Yeah. And it's too far away.
Yeah, and that's not true. I have to imagine you see it a ton with people that come in with injuries.
Yeah, totally. There's a huge, because unfortunately, right, we can't separate the mind from the body, right? Yep. There's a ton of interplay and interconnections psychologically with the pain experience and also healing, recovery, fitness, all that stuff. There's interplay and a lot of connections. We can't deny that. So with that component, we see that a lot for sure. It's like my back hurts again. Like, I'm never going to get better. Like, what do you mean? You like literally 3 weeks ago, you were totally fine. Yep. It's a little irritable right now, right? Like, we just got to work back to what we were doing. I'm going to hold your hand and help you for sure. But there's no reason to lose it's hard to not lose the encouragement, but at least it can be encouraging of like, you're going to be fine, dude. It just takes a little time, right? Yeah. But yeah, I hear that a lot.
Those setbacks are important in life. And I'm not trying to be a David Goggins here, but the reason that you should
love that guy.
He's amazing. Yeah. And all those guys, all the guys that are out there saying like, go do difficult things, they're saying it for a reason. When you experience these setbacks, when you've been pushing yourself in other places in your life and doing difficult things and things that challenge you mentally, physically, emotionally, you take on those setbacks, you take a different mindset. Yeah. It's no longer this mindset of, oh, I tore my ACL, I'll never be as strong as I was before. It's, I tore my ACL, how can I make this journey something special? How can I make not only a comeback, but how can I come back even better?
Stronger than I was before.
Yeah, stronger than I was before. And so is that mindset easy to grasp? Absolutely not. It's very hard to build, but that's no different than having that one weekend after you've been really good for a month, you haven't been drinking, you've been eating really well, and you have the one weekend where your friend has a bachelor party and you go and you eat like crap and you drink and you stay up late hours. You come back and as soon as you can get yourself back into that routine, you'd be surprised. It usually takes 3-5 days a week, 2 weeks, and you're right back where you were.
It's just a little short-term discomfort.
Yep.
and then you're fine, right?
And then you're good.
Yeah.
It's
How willing, that's interesting you say that, because I feel like that's totally, this is it. I just had to, It's the willingness to be uncomfortable for the short term in order for the long-term gain.
Yep.
That's what it is. It's like, who's willing to be, for anybody like high performers or whatever, just being consistent. It's like, are you willing to go endure a little bit of short-term discomfort? It's not going to be great. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
And stepping into that on purpose, knowing that there's a long-term benefit that comes after.
Yeah, there's a reason they say that you have to get uncomfortable to grow.
Yeah, totally.
It's change doesn't happen. This is the biggest quote I probably have said my life following my master's degree, and because I learned it in my master's program, which was that the body cannot adapt to the same stress.
Right.
It needs a new stress.
Right. Totally.
You can take that same line and you can apply it to everything in life.
100%.
You're not going to make more money if you do the same job all the time.
Right.
You need to get promoted. You need to do a little bit extra.
Yeah.
You're not going to see your biceps get any bigger if you're constantly curling 15-pound weights.
Right.
You got to increase.
Or not doing bicep curls.
Yeah, or not doing bicep curls at all. You've got to make that progressive overload. That's life.
Yeah.
It's life. You have to always constantly be venturing for a way to make yourself better, even if it's that 1%.
Right.
Otherwise, the body's not going to change. Your mind's not going to change.
You don't grow in the comfort zone.
Exactly.
You grow outside the comfort zone. And you have to put yourself there on purpose. So it's like the willingness to do that.
Absolutely.
You're totally right, man. It was interesting. You said, back to what you were saying, we had a conversation recently when we were working together. There's no magic button.
Yeah.
Right? Talking about like the consistency, implementing habits throughout your life that ultimately lead to goals, right? There is no magic button, unfortunately, of a trendy thing or flashy whatever, right?
Yeah.
Training program, infomercial stuff, like whatever. You just got to be consistently doing the right things over a significant amount of time, right?
Yep.
Over a prolonged amount of time. And that's where you start to see results, which builds momentum, which then develops lifestyle habits and learning some stuff and changes and habits that lead to the goals that want you to do it more, right? There is no magic button, unfortunately.
No, there's no magic button. There's no magic pill. Unless you're looking to explore the world of PEDs, which I don't, advise anybody to do. There's no magic pill out there. If you talk to the people that are the best at what they do in all aspects of life, and especially in sports and performance, it's consistency. It's showing up as often as you can and doing the right things.
Right, when you don't want to.
Yeah, when you don't want to. Exactly.
This is hard. This is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. And it's showing up, being consistent, and then making sure you're on top of the right things. Is your nutrition consistent? Is your recovery consistent? Are you sacrificing the things that are going to make you maybe more popular in the eyes of other people in order to achieve what you want to achieve?
Right.
And so, I work with a lot of people that their main goal is to lose weight, and it's tough for them because they also want to maintain a social life.
Right.
And so sometimes you'll crush it for 4 days in the gym for the week, and then those people will come back after the weekend. You'll say, how was your weekend? What'd you do? Oh, I went on a 3-day bender.
Yeah.
And you're kind of, and I give my clients grace because they should enjoy their life and do what they want to do. But at a certain point, I kind of look at them and go, hey man, like if you want to achieve what you're talking about achieving, we have to make a shift here.
Right.
I'm not telling you to stop going out. I'm not telling you to, shut down your social life. I'm telling you, you need to prioritize what's most important to you. And if you want to get healthy, if you want to lose that weight, if you want to look a certain way, you got to dial certain things back and switch up the priorities. And so the magic pill, unfortunately, people don't want to hear this, but the magic pill is like getting your priorities straight and then showing up for those priorities consistently.
Right. Consistency over time.
Yep.
I feel it's interesting you say that in those situations, because I hear that stuff a lot too, and also about it myself, right? By no means am I a perfect person.
Yeah, same here.
But it's like, what do you want most, right? What is it exactly that you want most? There's no wrong answer, right? But if what you really want most is, I want to feel great, I want to drink less, eat less, whatever, I'll exercise more, be in great shape, fitness capacity, whatever their definition of that looks like. Lower body fat percentage is something we hear a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
They want to be leaned out, right? What they mean is like they want to be lower body fat percentage, correct? Yeah. It's like, what do you want most? Are you willing then to give up the things then that would be less on the priority list in order to dive in towards what is it you want most? And the battle, something I heard makes total sense. The battle between what I want most versus what I want right now, that's discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline is what the battle between what I want most and what is comfortable or what I want right now. Can you consistently choose what it is that you want most over what's convenient and easy right now for the long-term benefit, with the same thing, the discomfort thing? That's the best definition of discipline I've ever heard. And I was like, that makes total sense. It's just the choice, right?
Yeah, it's all it ever is. And I actually wrote that down in my notes today, that like the biggest piece of knowledge that I can give people that want to achieve their goals is discipline and consistency. It's so simple, totally. But that's literally what it comes down to.
The hardest.
It's the hardest. Yeah. Discipline is the hardest thing. And I'm someone who is I'm a very social person. I'm also someone who often gives himself a lot of goals that are not, they're not easy to reach, but they're achievable. And it's easy for me to sometimes get down on myself and be like, man, I'm just not reaching what I wanted to get to. But when I take a step back, and this is where I think everybody could improve, is you take that step back, you look at what you're doing on a week-to-week basis, and does it align with the goals?
Yeah.
Most people know. You don't need your personal trainer or your physical therapist.
It's a hard pill to swallow sometimes.
It's exactly what it is. It is a hard pill to swallow. And we all need to do it though sometimes.
100%. Got to reflect.
Yeah, got to reflect. And that's why I journal in the morning. It gives me an opportunity to write down my thoughts, reflect on where I'm at, and maybe sometimes that's where I reprioritize or reorganize my goals. But it's a moment for me to be like, be honest with myself and be like, I have not been very disciplined.
I think with auditing that, yourself, like you're saying, and all the collective choices over a long period of time. The other question I ask myself and investigate other people, my clients, my patients right there, and myself too, right, is who am I trying to win the approval of? If it's like, man, I wanted this bender, or like I backslid for a little while and I'm not as much as I wanted to. I want to be able to work out and do all this stuff. I don't want to go out and do these things, or I don't want to smoke cigarettes, whatever. It's like the question I would ask myself, and I would ask them, is like, who are you trying to win the approval of?
Yep.
Are there social expectations or friend groups or whatever that might be influencing you to be towards that direction versus the opposite? Like, well, I want to do that, but like I do, but I don't want to seem weird, right?
Yeah.
Then I would be like, who are you trying to win the approval of, right? If you're trying to prioritize and your goals are setting here, but your actions are doing something different, is it an accountability problem? Is it a discipline problem? Are you not willing to put yourself through discomfort? Is it I don't know what to do problem? Mm-hmm. Or is it like an approval, social pressure problem? And if that's the case, all of which can be controlled, by the way, right? Yeah. You can control all of those factors. If it's a social pressure approval problem, then I would reevaluate maybe who I'm spending my time with, if that makes sense. If it doesn't align with what your goals are, what you want.
100%. And I think I'm actually reading a book right now. I'm finishing it up probably this week, called Essentialism. And it talks about how these decisions that you make in your life, a lot of us are yes people. We have the fear of missing out when it comes to social things.
I have huge FOMO.
I have massive FOMO. Yeah. I'm the same way. And that's why I'm reading this book in the first place.
How can I not have FOMO better?
Yeah. How can I work on making decisions that align with my goals? And it's not always easy to say no, but I think one of the best quotes from the book is, if it's not a overwhelming yes, then it should be a no. And even if you're like, oh, like 90% of me wants to say yes, that's not 100%.
Right.
So
I like that. It's cool.
Yeah. And when you take that slogan into a lot of the decisions you make, if you're truthful with yourself and honest with yourself, the answers are very easy.
Right.
It shouldn't be difficult.
Totally.
I'm trying to save money to buy a house, and your friends invite you to go to Chicago for the weekend.
Concert or something. Yeah.
You want to go so badly. Yeah, of course, that's fun. Do you need to go? Is it an absolute yes? Yeah. Probably not. And while you might miss out on an experience, the trade-off is you're making more progress towards the goals that you know exactly matter more to you.
Right. It's like, what do you want back then? Like, what do you want most?
Exactly.
What do you want now?
Yep.
It's a debate for yourself. It's up to you. But and evaluate that, on your own. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Depending on what you want. That's interesting, man. But another one I was gonna ask you is, because I had a lot of the same questions from my patients and clients and stuff. What are some of the most common questions that you get from your clients?
Ooh. I think the most obvious one is, it's how do I gain? Is it possible? And also, how do I gain muscle and lose fat at the same time?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Super popular question. I refer to this process as, it's not impossible. It's very difficult to do those two things at the same time. It's not impossible. I refer to it as body recomposition rather than like weight loss or muscle gain.
I like that. Yeah.
And essentially
body recomposition.
Recomposition. And essentially what you're achieving is a really, really nice balance of caloric surplus and caloric deficit at different times throughout a period of time, a longer period of time, where you can actually lose fat some days and be gaining muscle in other days. But more realistically, what I tell my clients when they ask me that question is, what means more to you? Do you want to look more lean? Is that what you care about? Or do you truly want to gain muscles and, bigger muscles and be mass. Jacked?
Yeah.
And more often than not, people are asking me, how do I lose weight?
Yeah.
How do I lose body fat as fast as I can? The number one thing you can do is try not to lose it as fast as you can. Trust the process.
Yeah. That's great. It's like the number one thing to not do is try to lose it as fast as you can.
More often than not,
that's a great.
This is like statistically proven. More often than not, the faster you lose weight, the faster you're going to gain it back. The changes aren't realistic, and they're not going to usually kind of stay if you're rushing yourself through it.
Because the habits aren't designed or aren't built yet.
They're not built, but not only that, you're trying to take shortcuts. And what I see happen most, whether it's people who are using Ozempic and not making lifestyle changes in, cohesively with that, or when I see it's people that do these, I can't stand it, but these like liquid diets where they essentially starve themselves. They will sit there and be like, I did this 1 week liquid diet and I lost 8 pounds. And what I look at them and kind of say is, yeah, you lost a lot of water weight and probably some muscle mass.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're going to go back to your old habits and you're going to gain it right back.
Right.
Take the mindset of taking the long route with these things. Gain the muscle mass the right way. Lose the fat the right way. It should only be a half a pound a week, realistically, for people that are, in the average body type and body composition. Obviously, if you're a lot heavier, losing weight and losing it fast is going to be easier, but take that slower route because it's going to stick. But also, I'm full of cliche things to say. You got to learn to enjoy the journey more than the destination.
Yeah, totally.
It's awesome to look shredded on the beach. We all want to be that guy or that girl. But if you can enjoy how you got yourself there and be grateful for all these moments that you're growing and you're learning about yourself and you're developing your mental toughness and your discipline, the reward at the end is great, but you often reflect back on that journey and it's beautiful. You get to look at it and be like, man, I grew so much as an individual. You learn about a lot about yourself and what you're capable of.
Yeah. I feel like I've always been, unfortunately, like a destination guy, and it's been challenging for me to enjoy the journey, knowing that I have a destination I want to get to. And what are suggestions you have for people that are in the same boat when you say enjoy the journey?
I've been there as well, and enjoying the journey is not always the easiest. I have certain things in my life that it's easier to enjoy the journey, and certain things where all I'm thinking about is the destination. I think the easiest thing to do, it kind of goes back to writing down goals. You have this big overlapping goal. That's your umbrella goal. Okay, let's say I want to have 7% body fat. Break it down into smaller, attainable goals that can happen in time frames that are leading up to your destination. And what happens is when you create these milestones and these metrics that you're trying to reach along the way, you can focus on those and be a little bit more present than something that might be down the road.
You're like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Yeah.
Well, 6 months. Because realistically, if you're 13% body fat and you're trying to get down to 7%, it's going to take almost a year for most people. If that's the case, there's no point in constantly focusing on why am I not 6 or 7%. Yeah. It's better to look at it as how can you create a month-to-month or a week-to-week goal of, you know what, I just want to go this whole week staying on top of my macros and eating the exact amount I'm supposed to eat. Yeah. Or this month, I want to make sure that I'm in the gym 5 days a week, every week of the month. Check that box off. It keeps you much more present. You're like chipping away at a realistic goal that's in front of your face versus being like, oh man, it's been 2 months. I'm only 11%. Hey,
You're on track.
That's a 2% decrease. You're on track. You're killing it.
Yeah, totally.
So I think the best way to keep your mind off of the destination all the time is that trickle down effect. Branch off some more attainable, nearer goals in the meantime.
Yeah.
Keep that destination there. You want it there. That's your goal. That's what's driving you. But create more things that you need to focus on in the time being.
Yeah. So little bite-sized chunks.
Yes.
And then celebrate those little wins
big time
along the way.
Yeah.
It allows you to be more present in the meantime. And also it keeps you encouraged as like, I'm on the right track.
You know what you're talking about for a guy who says he's focused on the destination.
Well, I've tried to work on it, but I was just breaking down what you said. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Maybe my own words. I like that's perfect, man. I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on here. I think hopefully we brought a lot of value and some clarification for some of our listeners and people that are like-minded like us. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything, always reach out to us. You can reach out to Taylor Snook. What's your email, Instagram, Facebook, website, whatever?
Easiest way to reach out is Instagram. It's at tsnook, TSNOOK on Instagram. Super easy to find. And you can also just go to the One Fitness page.
It'll be on there.
Yeah, check us out on there. Reach out. I'm always happy to answer questions, and I love doing this kind of stuff. And I appreciate you bringing me on the podcast.
We'll have you back.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
We have a ton of things we could talk about.
Awesome.
The SMART goals being one of them. I forgot the acronym of SMART goals.
Yeah, we'll figure out the acronym. We'll come back to that.
I'll have it all written out and outlined for sure.
Exactly.
But yeah, I appreciate it, man. We'll definitely link up again. But thank you guys. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or any pain or discomfort you have issues with that you want to get solved. And you can always reach out to us at athleterestorationcompany.com or Athlete Restoration Co. on Instagram. And then we're looking forward to chatting with you more. And then, hey, hold up. As you know, we're a small local practice and we don't run any ads or sell anything on this podcast, but it would mean the world if you could share, write a post or word of mouth recommendation for somebody just like you that's athletic and active that wants to live their dynamic lifestyle and pay some good karma and pay it forward to somebody else just like you. And who knows, you could change their world and a 10-second review could be that avenue.